Have you ever felt like you are walking through life with a chain tied to your feet? You want to move forward, but something pulls you back. Old memories, old mistakes, old pain. You try to forget, but they return at night when you cannot sleep. They return in the silence when nobody is near. The past can feel like a shadow that follows you everywhere, no matter how fast you walk. And maybe you think, this is who I am. I cannot escape it. But the truth is different. You are not your past. You are not your mistakes. You are not the pain you felt yesterday. You are more, much more. The past is heavy only because you keep carrying it. Imagine a person with a backpack full of stones. Each stone is a regret, a broken promise, a failure, a word that still hurts. The person wants to climb a hill, but with every step the backpack becomes heavier. The problem is not the hill, the problem is the bag. If they put it down, their steps would be lighter, the climb would feel possible. You too are carrying a bag, but you can put it down. You can say, yes, it happened. Yes, it hurt. But no, it will not control me anymore. That moment is the first taste of freedom. Your past is a teacher, not a prison. A teacher shows you a lesson, then moves away. But many people stay sitting in the same classroom long after the lesson is finished. They read the same page again and again. They repeat the same story until it becomes their whole life. You are not meant to repeat. You are meant to grow, to graduate, to move into a new room, a new story. Every scar you carry was a teacher. It showed you something about yourself. But you are not supposed to keep opening the same wound. Healing means learning and then leaving. Think about a river. The water flows forward. It never runs backward to yesterday. Even if you step into the same river tomorrow, the water is different, new, fresh. Life is like that river. You cannot step into the same moment twice. The only thing that pulls you back is your memory. But memory is not reality. It is a story in your mind. And stories can be rewritten. You are the writer. You can decide what role the past plays in your book. Does it chain you? Or does it teach you? Does it break you? Or does it prepare you? The choice is always yours. When you wake up in the morning, you are given a blank page. The past may knock on the door, but it cannot write for you unless you let it. One sentence at a time, you build your future. One choice at a time, you move further from yesterday. Even the smallest step is a step away from pain, a step toward freedom. And with every step, the voice of the past becomes quieter until one day, you realize it no longer controls you. It is easy to believe that forgetting the past means erasing everything that ever happened. But forgetting does not mean erasing. It means releasing. The memory may still be there, but it no longer has power over you. Imagine touching a scar on your skin. You can see it, you can feel it, but it does not hurt anymore. The wound has healed. That is what it means to forget the past. You remember without pain. You look back without chains. The problem is that most people do not let the wound close. They keep scratching it with thoughts like, why did this happen? Why did I fail? Why did they leave me? Every time you repeat those questions, you open the cut again. It bleeds again. Healing cannot happen when you keep breaking the skin. You must let it close, even if you never get the answers. Peace does not come from answers. Peace comes from acceptance. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is strength. It is the courage to say, yes, this was part of my story, but it is not the whole story, and it does not decide my future. Some people think holding on to the past makes them strong, that by remembering the pain they are protecting themselves. But in truth, holding on makes you tired, makes you heavy, makes you blind to new chances. Real strength is in letting go, in opening your hands and saying, I choose to carry nothing but today. Think of a bird in the sky. The bird does not carry yesterday's wind on its wings. It does not think, the storm from last week is still too heavy. No, it spreads its wings and rises with the air that is here now. You are like that bird. The wind of yesterday is gone. Only the present wind can lift you. Sometimes the hardest part is forgiving yourself. Maybe you keep saying, it was my fault. I should have known better. But tell me, how could you know? You only had the knowledge of that moment. You only had the heart of that moment. Now you know more. Now you are stronger. Why punish the old version of you for not having the wisdom of today? Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, not because you are weak, but because you are tired of being chained. And sometimes the weight you carry belongs to someone else. Someone hurt you, betrayed you, abandoned you. You think holding anger will protect you, but anger is like holding fire in your own hands. It burns only you. Forgiving others does not mean trusting them again. It does not mean saying what they did was right. It means you stop drinking the poison of bitterness. It means you put down the fire so you can heal your own hands. Freedom begins with these choices. I accept what I cannot change. I forgive myself for what I did not know. I forgive others so their actions no longer control my heart. Every time you make these choices, the chains loosen. The shadow fades. You take another step forward. Fear often appears when you start to release the past. You may whisper to yourself, what if I make the same mistake again? What if the future is no better? What if people laugh at me? Fear is natural, but fear is also a liar. It tells you that yesterday will repeat forever. It tells you that one fall means you cannot stand again. But the truth is different. Falling is part of walking. Every person you admire once stumbled, once failed, once doubted. The difference is that they stood up again. Think of a child learning to walk. The child takes one step, then falls. He cries. The fall hurts. But the next day, he tries again. He falls 10 more times, but each fall teaches him balance. Soon, the steps are stronger. One day, the child runs. Now imagine if that child said, I fell once, so I will never try again. He would crawl forever. We would call that sad, even silly. And yet many adults do exactly that. They fall once in life and then stop trying. But you are not a child who stops crawling. You are a soul built to rise, again and again. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the soil where success grows. A farmer knows that the seed must break before the plant can rise. From the outside, the breaking looks like destruction, but inside, it is creation. Your past failures were not the end of your story. They were the breaking of seeds, preparing you for growth. What you saw as the end was only the beginning of your next chapter. There is another truth. The past does not define the future. Just because you failed yesterday does not mean you will fail tomorrow. A broken heart in the past does not mean you will never love again. A dream that collapsed does not mean you cannot build another. The past is evidence of what happened once. The future is evidence of what is possible next. And possibility is always bigger than memory. Every time fear whispers, answer it with courage. Say softly, yes, I may fall again. But so what? I will stand again. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. Courage means you walk even while fear walks beside you. Picture yourself carrying fear like a small bag on your back. It is there, but it is not heavy enough to stop you. You feel it, but you keep moving. And the more steps you take, the lighter the bag becomes, until one day you realize it has disappeared. There is a deep freedom in choosing action over fear. Action proves to you that fear is only smoke, not fire. The moment you step forward, the smoke clears and the road is open. Think of times in your life when you were afraid but still acted. Maybe you spoke when your voice shook. Maybe you tried something new even when you doubted yourself. And remember the feeling afterward, the relief, the pride, the discovery that you were stronger than you believed. That feeling is waiting for you again. Your past may have been full of falls, but your future can be full of rises. The chain of fear can only hold you if you refuse to move. But the moment you take one step forward, the chain breaks. Even a small step counts. Small steps repeated daily create great journeys. You don't need to leap across mountains today. You only need to walk, and then walk again tomorrow. One of the deepest weights from the past is not what others did to you, but what you did to yourself. The mistakes you made, the choices you regret, the words you wish you could take back. Sometimes the hardest voice to silence is the one inside that keeps repeating, "It was your fault. You should have known better. You don't deserve a second chance." This voice can be more cruel than any enemy outside. But forgiveness begins within. Forgiving yourself is not saying what you did was right. Forgiving yourself is saying, "I cannot keep punishing a younger version of me for not knowing what I know now." You must understand, the person you were then did not have the wisdom you carry today. You could not have chosen differently, because you had not yet learned the lesson. Now you know more. Now you see clearer. Why keep holding yourself prisoner for something the old you could not understand? Think about a judge who keeps sentencing the same person for the same crime, again and again, year after year, even after the punishment has been served. Would you not call that injustice? That is what you do to yourself when you replay your guilt every day. You are both the judge and the prisoner, locked in a loop that has no end. But the key has always been in your hands. The moment you forgive yourself, you open the cell and walk out into the light. Forgiveness is freedom. It is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is not an excuse. It is courage. It is saying, "Yes, I did wrong. Yes, I regret it. But I will not carry the whip forever. I will not live my life in chains. I choose to learn. I choose to grow. I choose to move forward." This is not denial. This is healing. Sometimes, forgiveness must also reach outward. People hurt you. They lied, betrayed, left, broke your trust. The pain was real, and it marked you. But ask yourself honestly, does holding on to anger change the past? Does carrying bitterness punish them, or only punish you? Anger is like drinking poison and waiting for someone else to die. You suffer, they move on. Forgiveness does not mean you allow them back into your life. It does not mean you accept what they did. It means you cut the rope tying your heart to their actions. It means you say, "You no longer control my peace." Think of a burning coal. You hold it in your hand, waiting for the other person to feel pain. But the fire burns only your skin. The only way to stop the burn is to drop the coal. That drop is forgiveness. It is not for them. It is for you. Imagine your heart as a house. If every room is full of old broken furniture, there is no space for anything new. Forgiveness is like cleaning the rooms. You throw away what is broken. You open the windows. You let fresh air and sunlight come in. Then, slowly, new things appear. New friendships, new love, new dreams. But none of this can enter while the rooms are filled with anger and regret. When you forgive, you are not forgetting. You are remembering without chains. You are saying, "This happened, but it no longer defines me." Forgiveness is a decision you may need to make every day at first. The pain may try to return, but each time, You choose again. I let it go. And slowly, the wound closes, the scar remains, and the heart is free. This freedom is not far. It is not in the hands of time or fate. It is in your decision right now. Once you begin to release guilt and anger, something new starts to happen inside you. The silence that used to be filled with old voices becomes open space. And in that space, you have a choice. You can let the past rush back in, or you can build something fresh. This is where new habits become your greatest allies. Because forgetting the past is not only about what you put down, it is also about what you pick up. If your hands are empty but idle, the old weight will find its way back. But if your hands are busy building, there is no room for the chains anymore. Habits may sound small, but they are the bricks of your future. Your days are shaped by what you repeat, not by what you dream. You can wish for freedom, but if every day you feed your mind with the same old pain, nothing changes. Change happens when you plant different seeds. Every action you repeat is a seed that grows into a tree. Plant seeds of bitterness, and you grow a forest of sorrow. Plant seeds of courage, and you grow a forest of strength. Think about water falling on stone. A single drop looks powerless, but when the drops fall again and again, day after day, the stone begins to change. It bends, it shapes, it carves a path. That is the power of repetition. It is not one big action that frees you from the past. It is many small actions, repeated until they carve a new path in your mind. When you wake up in the morning, the first thing you do shapes your whole day. If you reach for your phone and scroll through old photos or sad news, you start your day in the shadow of yesterday. But if you begin with one strong sentence, "Today is new. Today I move forward," you set your mind on freedom. If you write just 3 lines about gratitude, your heart begins in light instead of darkness. These are small habits, but small does not mean weak. Small is the secret of change. In the evening, before you sleep, you can also choose. Many people lie in bed replaying their mistakes, filling their last thoughts with regret. But you can decide differently. You can take 2 minutes to write down what you release from the day and 1 sentence about what you want for tomorrow. This habit closes each day clean, so the past does not enter your dreams. Sleep becomes lighter, mornings become fresher, and slowly you train your brain to believe in new beginnings. Your body also remembers the past. Stress, fear, guilt, they sit in your muscles, in your breath. Moving your body, even a short walk or some stretching, is a way of telling yourself, "I am not frozen. I am moving forward." The body leads the mind. If your body shows movement, your mind follows. Habits may look ordinary, but they are extraordinary in their power. A person who chooses one small positive habit and repeats it every day for a year will feel like a different person. Not because of magic, not because of luck, but because repetition rewrote their story. The past is loud, but habits are stronger. Each time you choose a new action, you write over an old memory. Each time you repeat that action, the new path grows clearer and the old path grows weaker. Until one day, you find yourself standing in a place that feels completely new, and you realize the past no longer calls your name. As new habits begin to grow, something deeper begins to shift, your sense of who you are. For years, maybe you told yourself, "I am weak. I am unlucky. I am broken." These words became your identity. But identity is not fixed. Identity is a story you tell yourself, and stories can change. If you keep saying, "I am my past," then your past controls your future. But if you say, I am my becoming, then you open the door to growth. Identity is powerful because it guides every action without you even noticing. If a person believes, I am lazy, then every time they face a choice, they act according to that story. They avoid effort. They give up quickly because that's what laziness does. But if they change the story to, I am disciplined, even in small ways, then their actions slowly begin to follow discipline. Words shape belief, and belief shapes action. Think of a caterpillar. For weeks, it crawls on the ground, slow and hidden. Then one day, it enters the cocoon. Inside, everything changes. It does not remain the same creature. It transforms. When it comes out, it does not crawl anymore. It spreads wings and flies. The butterfly does not keep saying, I am just a caterpillar who once crawled. No, it accepts the new identity and lives by it. You are in your cocoon now. The past was crawling, but the future is flying. To create a new identity, you must choose new words. Every morning, speak to yourself with sentences that build, not break. Say, I am not my mistakes. I am not my fear. I am strong. I am free. I am moving forward. At first, your mind may resist. It will whisper, that is not true. But the more you repeat, the more your brain rewires itself. Just like water carving stone, repetition of new identity carves new pathways in your mind. A man once believed he was a failure. He lost his job, his family doubted him, his confidence was gone. But one morning he decided to try something different. Each day, he stood in front of the mirror and said, I am valuable. I am capable. I am building a new life. At first, it felt like a lie, but he kept saying it. Slowly, he began to act differently. He applied for work. He learned new skills. He treated himself with respect. A year later, his life looked completely new. The words he repeated had become his reality. Your identity is not a prison given to you at birth. It is clay, and you are the sculptor. You can shape it with your hands, with your words, with your choices. The past may have written the first chapters, but the pen is still in your hand. Each day you wake up, you can write a new sentence about who you are. Say to yourself, I am becoming. Fill in the blank. I am becoming free. I am becoming confident. I am becoming fluent. I am becoming strong. These are not just sentences for English practice. They are seeds of your future identity. Plant them daily. Speak them loudly. Let your own voice remind you of who you are choosing to be. When you begin to see yourself as new, the past loses its grip. You no longer say, I am the person who failed. You say, I am the person who learned. You no longer say, I am the one who was abandoned. You say, I am the one who grew stronger. The story changes, and when the story changes, the whole life changes. When you start to believe in a new identity, the next step is to shape the world around you so it supports who you are becoming. Because even if you change your mind, if your environment stays the same, it will constantly pull you back into old patterns. You cannot plant fresh seeds in poisoned soil. To truly move forward, you must create surroundings that give life to your future, not your past. Look closely at the people around you. Do they remind you of your mistakes? Do they keep you chained to old versions of yourself? Or do they encourage you to grow, to try again, to step into something bigger? The voices you hear every day soon become the voice inside your head. If you spend time with people who complain, you will find yourself complaining. If you spend time with people who believe in change, you will start believing too. This does not mean cutting every person from your life, but it does mean choosing wisely where you place your energy. Spend more hours with those who lift you, and fewer with those who drag you back. Then look at your space. Is your room full of old reminders that keep you in yesterday? Maybe clothes that carry memories of a broken relationship or objects that remind you of failure. These things are not just objects. They are symbols, and symbols speak to your mind quietly every day. Clearing them away is not weakness. It is a declaration. This chapter is finished. Create space for something new. Even something small, like a clean desk with a notebook for your future plans, can change how you feel when you sit down. Your environment is also what you feed your mind with. Every video, every song, every post is a seed. Ask yourself, is this seed growing hope, or is it watering pain? You do not need to fill your head with endless noise. Replace one negative source with something that builds you. A book that inspires you, music that lifts you, a video that teaches you. Even a few minutes a day can shift your inner atmosphere. A woman once struggled after a painful breakup. Every corner of her home reminded her of the past. Every playlist on her phone was full of sad songs. Every evening she scrolled through photos that broke her heart. One day, she decided to change her environment. She painted her walls, put away old objects, made a new playlist full of hope, and filled her shelves with books she always wanted to read. The memories did not vanish, but her space no longer screamed them at her. Slowly, her heart began to breathe again. You cannot always choose everything in your environment, but you can choose enough to make a difference. And when your environment matches your new identity, moving forward becomes easier. You no longer fight against the wind, you walk with it. Think of your life as a garden. If you keep old weeds, they will choke the new plants. But if you pull them out and give room for flowers, beauty begins to grow. The garden of your future is waiting, but it needs your hands to clear the soil. When the world around you reflects the person you are becoming, the past finds fewer doors to enter. You wake up, look around, and feel supported instead of trapped. This is how your outer space begins to protect your inner space. Even when your environment begins to change, there is still another force that can either keep you stuck or carry you forward, and that force is action. Thoughts are important, words are powerful, but action is what makes them real. Without action, identity stays only an idea. Without action, vision stays only a dream. Each step you take is proof to yourself that you are no longer the prisoner of yesterday. Action does not always need to be big. In fact, small action is often more powerful because it is repeatable. Many people wait for motivation before they act. They wait to feel strong, to feel ready. But motivation is like the weather, sunny one day, cloudy the next. If you wait for perfect conditions, you may wait forever. Action is different. Action creates motivation. When you move, even if your heart is heavy, energy comes. The bicycle does not roll until you push the pedals. But once you push, momentum carries you forward. Think about a rusty gate. It has not been opened for years, and it resists when you push. But the moment you move it back and forth, again and again, the rust begins to break. Soon the gate opens smoothly. Your life is like that gate. The first actions feel hard, even painful, but with each movement, the rust of the past loosens, and the road becomes clear. Physical action is one of the strongest medicines. When you walk, run, stretch, or dance, your body tells your mind, I am alive, I am moving, I am free. A still body invites heavy thoughts. A moving body shakes them off. That is why even a short walk under the sky can feel like a new beginning. It is not just exercise, it is a declaration of life. Creative action also heals. When you write your thoughts, you turn chaos into clarity. When you sing, draw, or cook, you give pain a new form, something you can look at from the outside instead of carrying inside. Even speaking English to yourself in simple sentences is creative action. You take what you feel and transform it into sound, into expression. The past becomes lighter when it is expressed, not hidden. Future action is where courage grows. These are the steps that build tomorrow. Applying for a job, joining a class, sending a message, starting a project. They may seem small, but each one opens a new door. Action proves that you believe in the future more than in the past. A man once lost his business and felt hopeless. For months he stayed at home, replaying his failure. Then one morning, he decided to take one action. He went for a short jog. The next day, he jogged again. His body grew stronger. His mind became clearer. Soon he joined a local course, then started a small side project. Within a year, he was building a new career. His transformation did not begin with a miracle. It began with a single step. Every time you act, you break the lie that says, "I am stuck." You prove that you are moving, even if slowly. And slow is enough. Because one step repeated becomes a journey, and journeys create destinations. The past cannot chase someone who is walking steadily into the future. As you begin to take action, impatience often appears. You want quick results, fast change, instant freedom. You look at yourself after 1 week of effort and think, nothing is different. Maybe I cannot change it all. But this is the trap of the past. It tells you that if transformation is not immediate, it is impossible. Yet real growth is slow, like the rising of the sun. You cannot see it move each second, but if you wait, the darkness turns into light. Patience is not just waiting. Patience is trusting the process while still moving. A farmer who plants a seed does not return the next day demanding fruit. He waters, he waits, he protects the soil. He knows that most of the work happens underground, invisible. In the same way, most of your change happens inside, hidden from the eye. Just because you cannot see progress today does not mean progress is absent. The roots are forming before the leaves appear. Impatience makes you dig up the seed to check if it is growing, and in doing so, you kill it. Many people quit just before the sprout breaks through the soil. They say, "It's not working," when in truth, the miracle was about to happen. This is why patience is power. It keeps you steady long enough to see the results of your effort. Think about learning a language. At first, you may study and feel lost, words slipping from your memory. But with daily practice, something begins to shift. Suddenly you understand a sentence you couldn't before. Suddenly you can reply without thinking too much. These are small signs of big growth. Fluency is not born in one night. It is built in silence, through repetition, through patience. A young woman once studied every day for months, but felt she was failing. She wanted to quit. Then, one afternoon, she found herself speaking naturally with a stranger in English, without planning it. She cried with joy, because she realized that patience had been building her skills quietly all along. What seemed like no progress was invisible progress. Life works in the same way. Healing, rebuilding, changing, these things take time. The scar does not form overnight. The tree does not grow in a week. The heart does not forget in a moment. But if you stay steady, one day you will wake up and feel lighter, freer, stronger, and you will realize that the process has been carrying you forward all this time. Patience does not mean doing nothing. It means doing the small right things daily, without rushing the outcome. It means trusting that each drop of effort is filling the jar, even if the jar looks empty at first. And then, suddenly, it overflows. When impatience whispers, "Why is it taking so long?" answer softly, "Because real change takes root." Speak it out loud. These words calm the storm inside. You remind yourself that you are not stuck. You are growing in ways you cannot see yet. And one day, the invisible will become visible, and the harvest will be worth every moment of waiting. Patience keeps you steady, but storms will still come. Even after you decide to move forward, life may test you again. You may face new failures, new disappointments, new moments of pain. Many people believe that once they begin to heal, they should never fall again. But this is not true. Falling again does not mean you are back at the beginning. Falling again means you are human. The difference now is that you rise faster, stronger, wiser. This strength has a name: resilience. Resilience is the art of bouncing back. Imagine a ball. When you drop it, it does not stay on the ground. It returns to the air. And the harder it hits the floor, the higher it can rise. That is resilience. Life pushes you down, but instead of staying there, you rise higher than before. A boy once dreamed of becoming an athlete. In his first competition, he failed terribly. His team lost, people laughed, and his heart was broken. He could have given up forever, but he chose differently. He trained harder, using each mistake as a lesson. A year later, he played again, and this time he scored the winning goal. When people asked him how he did it, he smiled and said, "I didn't quit. I rose again." That is the secret. Resilience is not about never falling. It is about refusing to stay down. Sometimes resilience is quiet. It is the student who fails an exam but studies again instead of giving up. It is the worker who loses a job but applies for the next one. It is the person who feels broken at night but still gets up in the morning to face a new day. These small acts are resilience too, though they may not look heroic from the outside. They are the proof that the past cannot hold you down if you choose to rise. Resilience transforms pain into power. Think about your scars. At first, they were wounds, raw and painful, but over time, they healed into marks of survival. Each scar tells a story. I was hurt, but I lived. I fell, but I stood again. Resilience is carrying your scars with pride, not shame, because they show you are stronger than what tried to break you. When challenges return, do not say, "Why me? Why again?" Instead say, "This is another chance to grow." Every storm teaches something new: courage, patience, strength. Without storms, there would be no roots deep enough to keep the tree standing. The wind that bends the branches is the same wind that makes them strong. Each time you rise after a fall, you build faith in yourself. You prove that nothing, not loss, not fear, not mistakes, can truly defeat you. And once you know that, the past loses all its power. Because even if it comes back in new forms, you know you will stand again. And again, and again. So let resilience become your quiet companion. Walk with it. Trust it. Remember that bouncing back is not failure, it is growth. Every rise makes you more ready for the life ahead. Resilience gives you the strength to rise, but strength without direction can still leave you wandering. To move forward with purpose, you need a vision. Vision is more than a dream. It is a clear picture of the life you want to build. Without vision, you may survive storms, but never truly leave the shore. With vision, every challenge becomes part of your journey towards something greater. Imagine a sailor on the ocean. If he has no map, no destination, He drifts wherever the waves push him. Days, months, years can pass, and he may end up in circles, never reaching new land. But if he has a compass pointing to a lighthouse, he rows with determination. He may face storms, but he knows where he is going. That lighthouse is vision. It pulls him forward even in darkness. Your past pushes you down with regret, but vision pulls you up with hope. The clearer your vision, the stronger the pull. A vague wish like, "I want to be happy," is too weak. But a clear picture, "I want to speak English confidently in 3 years. I want to travel. I want to feel calm in my heart," is powerful. It gives your mind a direction and your steps a reason. A man once lived in regret, convinced he had wasted his best years. But one day, he wrote down what he still wanted: a healthy body, a stable career, and the ability to speak English. Every morning, he read his list out loud. At first, it felt impossible, even foolish. But as weeks passed, he began to make small choices that matched his vision. He walked more, he studied daily, he applied for better work. Years later, he was living the life he once only wrote on paper. The vision had pulled him there. To create your own vision, you do not need perfection. You only need honesty. Ask yourself, what do I truly want my life to look like in 3 years? Do not think about what others expect. Do not think about what your past says is possible. Write it simply, clearly, bravely. Even one sentence is enough to start. And when you have written it, read it every day. Not because magic will happen, but because repetition will guide your choices. The more you see your vision, the more your daily steps will bend toward it. Vision also protects you from the weight of the past. When you look back, regret can feel endless. But when you look forward, the road ahead seems wide. Your eyes cannot focus fully on yesterday and tomorrow at the same time. The more you focus on tomorrow, the less you see of yesterday. That is the quiet power of vision. It does not erase the past, but it makes the past smaller, less important, less loud. So lift your eyes to the horizon. See the lighthouse. Imagine the life you want, even if it feels far. The distance does not matter. What matters is that you take steps in its direction. Every step, even small, is proof that you are no longer drifting. You are moving. Vision gives you direction, but direction alone is not enough. To reach the future you imagine, you need a way of traveling, and that way is consistency. Many people begin strong but stop quickly. They start with excitement, but when results are slow, they quit. They treat change like a race, but it is not a race. It is a daily walk. Consistency is what turns a dream into reality, because small steps done again and again create unshakable paths. Think of water dripping on stone. One drop looks too weak to matter, but 1,000 drops, 1,000,000 drops, carve a hole. Not because the drop is powerful, but because it is persistent. You are the same. You may think your small daily actions are nothing, but repeated over time, they shape your life. A girl once wanted to become fluent in English. She was not the fastest student, not the most confident, but she was steady. Every single day she practiced for 15 minutes. Some days she was tired. Some days she was busy. But she never skipped 2 days in a row. After a year, she was able to speak in basic conversations. After 2 years, she was writing essays. After 3, she got a job abroad. People said she was talented. She laughed and said, "Not talent, just consistency." This is the secret many forget. Motivation is short-lived. It burns bright, but it fades quickly. Consistency is like a slow fire. It may not feel exciting every day, but it lasts. If you build a habit of showing up, even when you do not feel like it, you create trust in yourself. You prove to your own heart, I can rely on me. That self-trust is one of the deepest freedoms from the past, because the past often whispers, you will fail again. But each time you stay consistent, you prove the past wrong. Do not start with something huge. Choose one action so small you cannot fail. Write 5 English sentences each morning. Read 1 page of a book before bed. Walk for 10 minutes every evening. These small promises may look weak, but kept daily, they build strength. And every time you keep a promise, your self-respect grows. The opposite is also true. When you break your promises to yourself, you weaken your own trust. That is why consistency matters so much. It is not about perfection. It is about loyalty to yourself. Imagine building a house. If you lay 1 brick and then stop for months, the house never appears. But if you lay 1 brick every day, slowly the walls rise. One day you step back, and there is a home where before there was only ground. Consistency is brick by brick, day by day, until the invisible becomes visible. The past often tries to distract you with guilt, to say, why bother? You will never finish. But consistency answers, watch me. The past tries to tempt you with excuses, but consistency replies, I show up anyway. Over time, excuses lose their power, and discipline takes their place. With vision pulling you forward and consistency carrying you daily, the past begins to lose its grip completely. You are no longer defined by what you once did. You are defined by what you now repeat. Consistency keeps you walking, but sooner or later you will meet moments where the road looks unfamiliar, where the future asks for something bigger than what you have tried before. This is where courage enters. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act even while fear is present. Many wait for fear to disappear before they take a step, but fear does not vanish on its own. Fear shrinks only when you walk forward with it beside you. Think about standing in front of a closed door. Behind it is a new opportunity, a job, a relationship, a dream. The handle is right in front of you, but fear whispers, don't touch it. What if you fail? What if you are rejected? And so you stand, waiting, hoping the fear will go away. But the truth is, the door will never open by itself. The only way through is to place your hand on the handle while your heart is still shaking. That is courage. A young man once dreamed of working in another country, but his English was broken, his savings were small, and his family doubted him. He hesitated for years, trapped by what-ifs. One day, he finally chose courage. He bought a ticket and left. The first months were difficult, but he adapted. He grew, and he built a life he once thought impossible. When people asked him how he found the strength, he said, I didn't. I was afraid the whole time. I just didn't let fear decide. This is what many do not realize. Courage does not feel like bravery. It often feels like trembling, sweating, doubting, but still moving. The past may say, stay safe, stay small, stay where you know. Courage answers, safety is not living. Growth lives on the other side of fear. Courage is also needed in smaller, daily ways. It takes courage to speak a new language in front of others, knowing you may make mistakes. It takes courage to admit when you are wrong, to apologize, to forgive. It takes courage to dream again after losing once. These acts may not look heroic to others, but they are battles won inside. Fear often shows up when you are closest to change. It is like a guard at the gate of your future, testing if you are ready to pass. If you step back, you stay in the land of yesterday. If you step forward, The gate opens, and you see the world you were meant to enter. Fear is not a signal to stop. It is proof that something new is near. Imagine a lion asleep inside you. For years, it has been quiet, hidden by doubt. But courage wakes it up. The lion rises, stretches, and roars, reminding you that power has always lived within you. Fear tried to make you forget, but courage makes you remember. You were never as weak as you thought. You were only waiting for the moment to be brave. And each time you act with courage, the past loses another chain. Because the past is built on fear. Fear of repeating mistakes, fear of pain, fear of loss. But courage breaks those chains, one by one, until you find yourself standing in a place that feels wide and open. You breathe, and the air smells of tomorrow, not yesterday. Courage does not promise perfection. You may still fall. You may still face rejection. But you will know this. Falling while moving forward is far better than standing still in the prison of the past. And each fall teaches you to rise stronger. That is the gift of courage. It does not remove fear. It transforms fear into fuel. Courage opens doors, but once you step through, you may look around and realize how far you've come. There is a moment of silence, almost disbelief, when you notice that the chains you thought were permanent are gone. Yet even then, the past may try to call your name one more time. It whispers, "Remember me? Remember what you lost? Remember how you failed?" But now you stand differently. You no longer listen with the same ears. You hear the whisper, but it no longer controls you. The difference is that you have built a foundation strong enough to stand. That foundation is everything you have gathered along the way. Forgiveness that softened your heart, patience that taught you to wait, resilience that taught you to rise, vision that gave you direction, consistency that carried you forward, and courage that unlocked new doors. All of these are bricks in the new life you are building. And once they are in place, the past is no longer a house you live in. It is only an old address you used to visit. Think of someone moving to a new home. At first, they may drive past the old street out of habit. They may feel a pull when they see the old building. But they no longer have a key, and they no longer belong there. Their life is in the new home, full of light, full of space. The old house remains in memory, but their future is in a different place. That is how the past should feel, something you pass by, not something you live inside. Moving forward does not mean the past disappears completely. Memories may return from time to time, like echoes, but echoes fade when you no longer answer them. Every time you focus on today, every time you plant a new habit, every time you take a step toward your vision, the echo grows weaker. Until one day, you hear it faintly in the distance, and you smile, because you know it no longer belongs to you. Your life now is not measured by the weight you carried, but by the light you are creating. The river keeps flowing forward, and you are flowing with it. You do not need to force it. You only need to stop clinging to the rocks of yesterday. The water carries you if you allow it. Trust that flow. Trust that movement. Trust that tomorrow is worth reaching. A woman once described her healing like this. At first, every day was about trying not to drown. The past pulled me under again and again. But slowly, I learned to float. Then, one day, I realized I was not only floating, I was swimming. And after some time, I was no longer afraid of the water at all. I began to enjoy the river, to look at the scenery, to smile at the sunlight. I had not only survived, I had begun to live again. This is what it means to forget the past and move forward. You don't erase the water, you learn to swim in it, and then you discover joy in the journey. All the strength you need is already in you. You have proven it by reaching this moment. You have walked through pain, faced fear, chosen forgiveness, and created a vision. You are not at the end. You are at the beginning of a new chapter, and the pages ahead are waiting for your pen. The journey of forgetting the past and moving forward is not about becoming someone completely different. It is about returning to yourself, the self that was always there beneath the weight of memory and regret. When you drop the stones you have carried, you do not become empty. You become light. You discover that strength was never something you had to chase. It was something that grows each time you choose today over yesterday. Think for a moment about all you have done to reach this place. You have looked honestly at your pain without running from it. You have forgiven yourself, forgiven others, and opened your hands to let go of bitterness. You have built habits, spoken new words, shaped a new identity, and created an environment that supports your growth. You have acted even when afraid, practiced patience when results were slow, risen after storms with resilience, followed a vision brighter than regret, stayed consistent when it was tempting to quit, and finally stepped through the door of courage. Each of these choices has rebuilt you. Piece by piece, moment by moment, you have created a new foundation. This foundation will carry you into tomorrow. There will still be challenges. There will still be days when the past tries to visit, when fear tries to return, when life feels heavy again. But now you know the truth. You are not powerless. You are not trapped. You are not broken. You are free to rise again and again. Every scar on your heart is not a sign of weakness, but of survival. Every step you take now is a step away from chains and toward freedom. Imagine standing at the edge of a wide field at sunrise. Behind you lies a road full of shadows, mistakes, and tears. Ahead of you lies open space, glowing with light, waiting for your steps. You cannot walk both ways at once. You must choose. And today, you choose forward. You choose the field, the horizon, the rising sun. You choose to let the shadows stay behind where they belong. Say this softly to yourself. I am free. I am moving forward. My story is not finished. These words are simple, but they carry the power of truth. Speak them again and again until they settle inside you like roots. Because the past may whisper lies, but your voice is louder. Remember that forgetting does not mean erasing. It means remembering with peace. It means holding the past as a teacher, not as a prison. It means saying, "Thank you for the lessons, but my place is ahead." That is wisdom. That is freedom. The blank pages of your future are waiting. And you, with your new strength, will write them one by one. You will write them in simple words, in steady actions, in choices that honor who you are becoming. You will write them in English sentences as you practice, each word both a step of learning and a step of healing. You will write them with courage, with patience, with love. And one day, when you look back, you will smile. Not because the past was easy, but because you overcame it. Not because the road was smooth, but because you kept walking. You will smile because you will see clearly. You were never weak. You were always stronger than the pain, stronger than the fear, stronger than the chains. This is your chapter now. This is your story to live. The past is finished. The future is open, and you are ready.